Hello friends, wishing everybody a happy Durga Puja and Dasera. Well, today in this video I will be talking something about which I had been dealing for the last 3 nights, and today being the fourth day when finally I could resolve what actually I wanted. Well, this whole thing talks about a concept which is a very heart throbbing for everybody, that is called Android application. And I always intended to develop a small application which would be able to run at my mobile, but before that I need to get handover about how the thing is going to work. Well, I was not getting any clue of where to start from, and I have to really work hard for 3 nights. Then finally I could resolve the entire thing. Well, basically, in order to develop the Android, you need to install your JDK first, and after that, you need to install your IDE, that is Android Studio. Now, once you have done that, you have to get carefully configure your SDK. Well, what SDK is all about, let me show you first. So here is a tools Android, and you get the option called SDK Manager. This SDK Manager will talk you about the operating system of your mobile phone for which you are going to develop your software. There are different type of operating system that is there in the market, so based on which you have to find out which one would you like to go for. Well, the one which I have installed is Android 5.1, that is Lollipop and Marshmallow, and I want to develop an application which is for Lollipop, but it will be implemented in Marshmallow because I use the cell that has got Marshmallow as OS. Okay. Now, when I started with this whole thing, I was thinking that I just need to install this SDK and it will work. But finally, I found that 2 nights got wasted simply because only installing the SDK will not do it. You also need to know which particular microprocessor or the processor that is there in your computer. Yeah, you rightly heard. I'm talking about the processor that is there, and you can see these are different version of the Android OS, but I'm talking about these two first. Okay. Now, why do you need to know about the microprocessor? The reason is you when you will develop your application, you need to execute the output, and for that you will not directly go to your cell phone. You might need to make use of the emulator, and emulator is based on the microprocessor. You have got a separate emulator for your Intel operating system, I mean it is Intel processor, and you have a separate SDK for your AMD processor. And since I have got AMD, so I have to make use of ARM. Actually, ARM is responsible for the instruction set, and there are two different type of instruction set you must be learning. You must have learned about it in computer architecture. That is complex instruction set, CISC, and RISC, reduced instruction set. And since I have got AMD as a processor, so I have to go for RISC processor. Okay, and that's actually is a very time consuming to figure out how the thing is. You try out. In case if you fail to, then definitely if you require any help, I will assist you. But before that, just you first try out. Okay. So once you have done this initial SDK and the configuration based on the processor, then you need to go for your application to be framed, and it's a very simple application which I have designed, nothing special about it. But what comes after this is that how you will be running this whole thing, and here comes the next stage of your trouble. Okay, you need to make use of the next concept, that is called Android AVD, Android Virtual Device Manager. And since I have already configured this Virtual Device Manager, okay, let me just run the process because it will take a lot of time before actually emulator starts to work. And you can see over here the AVD is starting. I will talk all these things, but let the AVD get started first. And here comes the Android emulator. It will actually take some time to get the whole thing implemented. Okay, in between this, let me talk about this. This is the emulator name which I will be using, and for running the application. And API 21, API actually stands for the application programming interface. Well, it is the protocol through which you will be developing your software, and API 22 actually stands for here comes my emulator. It will take again some time. It initially when it launches, it actually takes some time, so let it do it work as I keep on telling about these points. API 22 is actually based on Lollipop, that is 5.1. This is the resolution that actually your Android emulator will be having. MDPI. There are three different types of interface. Okay, LDPI, that is a lower interface, MDI is a medium one, and HDPI is a higher one. Okay, and the API 22 API is as I said, is an application programming interface which actually talks about the OS that you will be using for your Android cell phone, and that is one, the Lollipop. Okay, the target phone is also 5.1. This is a version, and here comes the ARM. As I was saying, the ARM is responsible for your AMD processor. Okay, for Intel it would have been a different utility thing that is required to run the application. This is the size of your virtual your emulator you have to provide, and then after you have created this whole thing, then only you will be able to see the thing getting executed, and once the actual thing starts to work, then only you will be able to run your application. So in order to run the application, you need two things. You need the emulator first. Since I don't have my mobile phone connected at this point of time, since it's the very first video, so I will be showing it in context to the emulator. But in my next video, which I will be coming within the next few hours, because I'm very excited of working on this whole thing, over there I will connect my cell phone, and while connecting the cell phone, you need to make use of the APK. So you have to develop your means you have to release your application. At this point of time, it is in a debug phase. Those who knows about Android, they will be able to follow my term. There's a two different mode. One is the debug mode, the other one is the release mode. So right now we are working on the debug mode. You can get to see this option from here even. So if you click this, you come over here. So this is the debug mode which is going on right now. And there is another mode that is involved, that is the release mode. And this release mode, through release mode, you will be able to figure out your APK. And once you have done the APK, then only you will be able to put it in a cell phone, and then the thing gets configured. And now my emulator is getting activated. See, you understood it's a very time consuming process. And here you can see one interesting thing, that is the 5554. This is the port number which my emulator is going to use. Now, as I already said, ADB means this is a new term. There are so many terms involved in Android. Initially, I was getting confused. Okay, but slowly and slowly I could understand what the thing is all about. There is a term called Android Debug Bridge, which I am yet to show. Once this emulator gets implemented completely, then I will be showing you that. This ADB is a tool through which the emulator actually connects your Android device. Right now, the application connecting this emulator, and later on it will be connecting my cell phone. Okay, so for that you have to make use of this ADB, and the port number, it uses a virtual port number. This is the port number that it is assigned for the emulator. So let me just swipe off this thing to be connected. So let me drag it, and here the thing gets implemented. Very cool. Now I will run the project, because I have to run this, then only it will be affecting your emulator, and then where the HDB gets in. Android Debug Bridge. Okay, so let me run this, and let me at the same time, here there is a concept of Gridle. This is also a very important thing. It is a tool which actually is responsible for changing this whole thing to the format of bytecode. Means my program will be converted to the bytecode. That is what the Gridle is responsible for. And this is the emulator name, as you can see. Later on, when I will be connecting my cell phone, this particular emulator won't be there. At that point of time, my cell phone name will be replacing it. It will show you the serial number or the port number through which it will be connecting. It will be also showing me the model number. Fine. And let me just press the OK button. Once I do this, what I will be seeing is that this particular output which I can see in my Android Studio will instantly come it over here. Let's wait for a while, because it will take some time. See, the thing is getting configured. It has just started. So once it gets started, finally the whole thing will be actually coming. Yeah, it's coming. And right now, fine. The whole thing got displayed over here. I know I'm very excited about it, because 3 nights I have been working on this, and finally I got the taste of taste that I'm waiting for. Okay, so I can get back to my home. If I press this button, it will take me to the home window, and from there I can again come back to the application profile. So let me click. This is the application profile, and here is my application. This is the application which I am designing. That is the last day application. So if I click this, the whole thing will. This is last day was another application which I have developed initially, and this is another application. So if I get back, this application is over here. You can see the name of that application. That is my first application. See, this is the project name, my first application. So if I click this, here it will be showing it, this one. So application which I have designed before, that is also there, and application which I'm working right now, that is also there. So that's how the thing is been displayed in your emulator. I talked about few important thing. I talked about SDK, I talked about API, ADB, I talked about your configuration of your ARM. These are very important terms when you go for Android application. Okay, until my next video, I will sign up from here. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.